DJI status in the USA, July 1st, 2025. Got that coming up next. Bill, a drone reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night, I hosted Rotor Talk Live and was joined by Mr. Ron Braun. We spent the better part of the evening discussing all the latest about DJI status in the USA as of July 1st, 2025. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. DJI status in the USA. This is all what we're going to talk about from this point forward is pretty much going to be it. Now, this article here talks about DoorDash, and a lot of you guys have used DoorDash before. I haven't. I've used Uber Eats, but pretty much the same kind of concept. DoorDash offers drone delivery to 100,000 plus Texas residents, okay? And it's across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Following a successful pilot, the company's officially launched drone deliveries in parts of Little Elm and Frisco, offering residents a faster and more futuristic way to receive meals from local favorites. Between 8 a.m. and 9:30 p.m., hungry customers can order directly through the DoorDash app and opt for drone delivery at checkout. The service currently covers over 30,000 households, reaching more than 100,000 people, with plans for expansion already underway. The launch marks Flytruck's first ever integration with the third-party app. Orders are prepared at restaurants, loaded onto autonomous drones, and flown straight to customers' backyards or community drop-off points. And with Flytruck's drones boasting the region's highest payload capacity, 6.6 pounds now and 8.8 pounds soon, it's not just snacks making the journey through the skies. The earlier pilot program completed over 1,000 deliveries and showed strong consumer interest. Community enthusiasm is fueling the rollout, with public drone drop-off zones popping up throughout the area. The companies also note this technology has empowered local businesses and supported STEM-based events aimed at sparking interest in aviation and robotics. Flytruck's advanced drone traffic control tech ensures that overlapping communities can be safely served by multiple operators, streamlining flight paths through automated systems. Okay, there's a lot there. You know, and the first thing that really kind of caught my eye right here was they want to have this as part of a STEM program. Okay, well, you know what STEM is, and it's good. It's good for students. It's an educational environment here. Well, that's good on one hand, but then our good friends in Congress and the powers that be want to take drones away from us. Okay. And the whole reason, one of the things that's really kind of impressed upon me is, and we're going to get to really kind of get to the meat of this here in just a few, is part of this, a lot of it, almost all of it, is driven by business, okay? And this is the first part of it, is home deliveries, okay, this DoorDash. And this article came up at a good time because I think two of the companies who are vying for home deliveries across the United States with drones, Amazon and Walmart, all right? And I know they've both had their own programs. They've had limited success, that type of thing. Some of these pilot programs are doing well. This pilot program apparently did well. And with consumer drones out of the way, it makes them very easy to do this, okay? I mean, there's nothing else I can say about that. I really. You're right, Fly Guy. Absolutely. Yeah, everybody in our development has problems with Amazon. The last drone development I lived in, we had somebody on a golf cart who was going around stealing packages, believe it or not, from people's porches. They would go out there and look. Well, there's a guy out there who has done glitter bombs and some of these, he's set up these rogue Amazon packages and done glitter bombs and had put an old cell phone in it, and they would track these people who would steal this stuff. So, but yeah, you're right. You're 100% right with that. Okay. That's not going to work. Yeah. You know, and also too, even if, okay, and I'll make the argument here. let's say there is no consumer drone activity in that area. All right. Even with that, it's going to be in a community drop zone. I would rather have DoorDash come to my door and deliver me something than me to hop in the car and maybe take a 5-minute ride and go get something. If I'm going to go out and get food, I'll just go all the way. I'll just go 15 minutes, go out there and get it and bring it back. Why, it's just the logistics of it just boggle my mind. I don't get it. I absolutely, positively don't get it. I don't understand. So we'll see how that goes. But, again, this is part of this whole anti-drone, anti-drone sentiment here. Is part of it is due to deliveries, okay? And the big, Walmart, Amazon, and other companies like DoorDash, smaller ones like that, Uber Eats probably will get into it, and other ones. I mean, there's a myriad of good uses for things like this. One of the things that I've seen, and they've had good success with it, is moving, blood samples and other things between hospitals and health systems. Okay. That's done pretty well. Excuse me. That's done pretty well. So, that's there. That's there. That's really there. Now, a couple things that I wanted to touch on. While we don't have the Mavic 4 Pro or here's Ron. How are you, sir?
Hello, Bill. How are you tonight?
Hanging in there. Val's had a little bit of a Paxlovid rebound from COVID, so she's a little bit back under the weather. I'm hanging in there as best as I can. So,
well, just continue the rest and take it easy.
Yeah, that's about it. Now, I just talked about DoorDash is has already piloted a program and is going to try limited delivery to 100,000 people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, using a drone there. Obviously not a DJI drone. But the next article that I'm going to talk about here, Sean did a great review on the RC Pro 2 after 2 months with it. Sean from Air Photography. And
Air Photography.
He really did. It was a very good review. He did a great job. Sean always does a good job. But this, I really like this. And, for me, and I'll be honest, Ron, I would get this before I would get the Mavic 4 Pro. I really would. I like it that much. And the benefits, he talked about the benefits, and he showed some great pictures as far as screen clarity and other things as well on there too, and compared it to the old controller and some of the new features on there. I really like it. And he talked about the price, and with everything with all told, he really thinks it's a good value.
Yeah, I mean, and he even mentioned that when you fold it up and whatever, it even fit in, like it even fit in cases and stuff like that. It's not as bulky as you think it would be when it was folded up.
Yeah.
Which is
so, absolutely. So, I still wanted to get this out there because I think a lot of people are still, wanting to hear more about the Mavic 4 Pro and hopefully wanting to get it here in the United States. Well, my take on things, and this is just me, is for me right now, my Air 3 and my Mavic 3 Pro will do the job that I need if I need to get a powerful drone up there. And the RC Pro 2 would be something that I would look at getting before I would get a Mavic 4 Pro. I mean, it's just pure and simple.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if it was for sale in the U.S. through, you know, regular channels, I think it'd be a very popular and good selling controller here.
Oh, I agree, Ron. I agree, and you really hit the nail on the head. Is having the right channels, because I think it's B&H and Adorama have it listed, but it's in an inflated price, and you can buy it on eBay, but again, that's an inflated price as well too. So now Ron and I both noticed that it's available on Amazon, but it shows delivery isn't until like December 29th or something like that. I mean, it's really kind of way down the road here, way down the road, as far as delivery was concerned there. So, you know, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is our friend DC Rainmaker. You know, he does some fantastic tests on videos, and he did one here on DJI Mavic 4 Pro versus the Gauntlet hardest active track testing, and he found the limit. And I'll let you guys watch that. I did go out there and see that. He gets into some extreme details with it, and did a tree tunnel test with it, a traditional phase test with it, high speed test with it, and tree weaving, deep dark woods, zoom options, Mavic 4 Pro versus the Gauntlet. And I'll let you watch it and, you know, come to your conclusion regarding all of that. Does it look like it worked pretty well, Ron, from what I saw?
Yeah, I mean, you know, since, you know, these drones are really not intended to follow people on quick moving things like bicycles and whatever. I mean, you're really asking these drones to do things that they really weren't, you know, they really weren't programmed to do. If you really want a follow you on a fast moving bicycle, you'd be better off with a, you know, a Neo or one of the hover drones or something like that, because they follow you. They don't try to make decisions. They don't try to use AI to get themselves around trees and objects. So if they just follow you, so if you can make it through, it could probably make it through. But with a drone like the Mavic 4 Pro, it tries to make these decisions, knowing how to navigate trees and obstacles, and, you know, the longer you go, the you know, you're going to hit the point where it makes wrong decisions.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, yeah.
One of the other things,
again, go ahead, Bill.
Now, today I went out on Twitter because apparently I went out to Senator Rick Scott's webpage and said that he's most active out on Twitter. So what I did was, in a couple of these here, the first one, you're welcome to appear on my weekly drone show Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern to provide us proof that DJI and Chinese drones are a national security threat. And then I also tweeted him, will you provide us with proof that DJI and Chinese drones are undermining our national security? And he talks about my Drones for America Act. And this guy, Sean Campbell, my response to Senator Rick Scott, the foundation of American progress has always been built on competition, innovation, the ability to lead, not isolate. Senator Rick Scott and others are pushing to blacklist global UAS manufacturers like DJI, have yet to present a competitive alternative. This debate is not rooted in national security or desire to strengthen American innovation. It's driven by politics, protectionism, and misplaced priorities. DJI has publicly requested independent audits to address security concerns, offers that have gone unanswered. Meanwhile, their drones are used daily by first responders, infrastructure teams, and public safety agencies across the U.S., saving lives and cutting costs. If the U.S. is serious about leading the drone industry, we must invest in drone innovation and embrace strategic global partnerships. Growth in this sector won't come from bans and bureaucracy. It'll come from vision, collaboration, and a commitment to solve real world challenges. So I had that out there for Senator Scott, and I wanted to share that with you guys, that I extended him an open invitation. Obviously, I haven't gotten any response from him. I'm expecting maybe a response from his staff, but I haven't gotten anything yet, and I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Yeah, all I can, you know, I can give Rick a little bit of credit. In his bill, he talks about the things taking effect in 2028, like drone, banning drones, Chinese drones or DJI drones completely by 2028, and Chinese parts by 2031. So at least he kind of acknowledges in his bill that, American drones aren't ready to take the place of Chinese drones or / DJI drones right now. Most bills don't even acknowledge the fact that, there's really nothing ready to go from America. We ban and stuff at this exact moment.
Exactly. Now, I know I brought this up last week, but I do want to spend a little bit more time on this. DJI reports highlights major drone privacy upgrades, the white paper on this. Privacy by design, control by the user. A central theme in the white paper is DJI's belief that users should remain in control of their data. Whether you're a hobbyist flying a Mini 4 Pro or an enterprise operator using a Matrice 400, DJI builds privacy controls directly into its system, okay? And it talks about that, and you have the option. It always asks you about that option. And I know within the past year or so that they changed that to disable any data being sent back to DJI, period, okay? Device security starting at the chip level, and it talks about a secure area of the processor that manages encryption keys and firmware verification. Complementing this is the FIPS certified DJI Core crypto engine, which ensures data encryption and secure firmware updates. Okay. In other words, even at the chip level, they have made these drones secure as far as data is concerned. Application hardening and software development kit oversight. Flight apps such as DJI Fly and DJI Pilot 2 undergo rigorous security hardening, including dynamic runtime protections, encryption of local files, and anti-tampering mechanisms. DJI also outlines a suite of software development kits, including mobile payload, edge, and thermal SDKs, are designed with built-in security mechanisms and limited network interaction here. Communication security, OcuSync, and 4G protected. As you know, those are very robust and they work very well. I don't think anybody has had a whole lot of problems with those. Cloud and offline data management, and we had just talked about that. The 2025 white paper also clarifies where DJI stores user data depending on its location. US-based operators use American cloud servers, while others may use servers in Japan or Europe, depending on their product and usage. Independent audits and certifications. It talked about what we've talked about all along. DJI continues to invest in third-party validation of its security architecture. Since the previous white paper release, the company has completed a 2024 audit by US-based FTI Consulting, and in 2025 secured ISO 27701 certification to Flight Hub 2, a privacy-focused extension of the well-known ISO 27001. These certifications join an already robust list. Bug bounty and community collaboration, meaning if you find bugs, you report them to DJI. They have a bounty program for that. Meaning the moment DJI's white paper, not just a technical document, but as a strategic reassurance as far as that's concerned. Ron, they have gone the extra mile regarding this. And I kind of am in agreement with that gentleman's reply to the senator that, this isn't about security. This isn't about, a security threat to the United States. Okay. And I've said that multiple times as well, too. And I agree with him. This is more, with DoorDash now wanting to deliver in the Texas area, Walmart, Amazon, that's part of it in the mix. Skydio possibly getting back into things. That's probably in the mix. It really doesn't have a whole lot to do with security.
Yeah, I mean, if it did, they would already have done that test. They would have found, that it was transmitting stuff back, and they could already have it banned. But they know what that test would reveal. That test would reveal that everything in his white paper is correct, and it isn't spying or sending data anywhere. And we all know that for a couple of years now, you as a user could put it in local data mode where it never connected to the internet at any point.
Absolutely. And Casey Crime Fighter's right here too. DoorDash, Amazon, and Walmart want to take the skies from us to use our drones so they can do deliveries. Exactly. Okay. And, you know, one of the things that I can say, Ron, is, you know, they've done these limited deliveries, and the article that talked about DoorDash, apparently not only to a house, but to a specified zone, like maybe a nearby park, or like a playground or some area like that that's more open, you know, which is fine. But, you know, as I pointed out, you know, if I'm going to do something like DoorDash, I want it to come to my house. I don't want to have to take a 5-minute trip to go out and pick something like that up. Okay. If I'm going to use a
You
service
might as
like
well
that.
have a guy deliver it in a car
Yeah, exactly.
if you're going
You
to do
know,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, there's really no advantage gained to this, number one. And number two, you know, the whole idea of having to go to a community spot, if you will, to get to make a pickup there, really kind of defeats the purpose of a quote unquote home delivery system. Okay. Because if it is a home delivery system, it's supposed to come to your house. Okay. Not to a
Yeah,
drop off
there's
point.
a great home delivery system already. It's called Amazon.com. It'll come right to your front door.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Amazon without fail has come to my house. I mean, really. I mean, you know, you know, when you live in a new development, it can be a little bit of a challenge. But after like 2 or 3 months here, they've never missed us.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess the trade-off would be, Bill, how bad do you need to get the thing that same day? Are you willing to go to a community spot to get that day? Not often do I need something that day.
Yeah. You know, now, you know, some of the things I can see, like maybe Walgreens, okay, or a pharmacy delivering some medication like that. Okay. I'm all for something like that. I think that would be great. But again, you know, if I'm sick, last thing I want to do is get out in my truck and go drive 5 minutes to go to a pickup point to get it. I might as well just drive to Walgreens myself and go through the drive-through and pick it up. I mean, you know,
Hmm.
where's the point in that? So, you know, a drone delivery to my house, yes, I would be also in favor of that. But conversely, you know, if it's coming to a drop-off point, what's the point in that? I mean, seriously.
Right, right. Unless that driving point's within a short walk or so. Again, people aren't going to go for a drive. And you know what would happen is that I hate to be the like in sketchy areas, the thieves would be waiting at those drop off points.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, um, in John's point, I think the band has already decided. Everything else is window dressing and fluff. Just my opinion. Hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong too, John. I don't know, and I know I watched Drone Nation last night. And last night was a great episode. You had Josh and
Thank you.
CT Pirate on. It was a great show last night, and Johnny was on as well. You know, and one of the things that I was getting kind of out of that as well too is, you know, I don't know whether it was you, Ron, or Marcus mentioned the fact we really don't know anything that's going on right now. Okay, this is something, and I kind of wanted to get this out here for everybody. So I think this is a good discussion point. Is we really don't know what's going on here. All right, you know, we
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
up these things like a Senator Rick Scott, and you know, you hear crickets back from things like that. We call our congressman's office or our senator's office, and they listen to us, but that seems to be about it. Okay, you know, one of the things that I
Yeah.
can say is this, Ron, and I tried to drop it in the chat last night. You know, the NRA is a very powerful lobby. I mean, they're extremely powerful. They have a lot of money behind them. All right. And they have a voice in Congress. All right. So that's why, you know, with gun legislation, they have a big say in something like that. Okay. And they probably blocked a lot of bills from being passed because of them. All right. You know, and I'll speak for ham radio. Ham radio has what's called the American Radio Relay League, ARRL, and they're a lobbyist organization basically. And one of their big functions is to protect the radio spectrum. In other words, for the FCC not to divvy that up. You know what is allocated to ham radio enthusiasts, as far as the bands are concerned, not to divvy that up, and make sure it's protected for our use, kind of a thing. And they're pretty powerful as well too. We here, as far as drones are concerned, we have nobody. We really
Right,
don't.
right, right. And we're in a unique position almost on like anything else, like industry I could think of, Bill, where one company dominates the industry so much, at least in the US, that you if you do anything in that one company, almost DJI is almost a hobby in the US. I mean, probably people throw out numbers. 80% of the drones in the US are DJI. So it's no other situation or field is it like that where if you could stop one company, you stop the whole hobby or industry. So we're totally unique in that situation.
Yeah, and you know, I wish, evidently there's probably, and I'll say this, there's not a lot of I wish there was, but in terms of, everybody talks about supporting first responders, okay, and obviously I want to stop and say our thoughts and prayers are with the tragedy that happened out in Idaho, and we pray for the victims' families. We pray for that whole situation. It's just an unspeakable tragedy. Okay, a lot of people really like to rally behind first responders at times like that, which we should, and we should always. Okay, our first responders are there to save lives. Okay, whether it's fire, whether it's police, whether it's EMS, they do yeoman's work and they do an exceptional job. Okay, and this bill and these bills that are proposed before Congress and everything, all right, you're ripping a tool away from them that will save people's lives, pure and simple. Okay. There's no, there's no gray area about something like this. Okay. It just literally takes it away. And then you leave these organizations handicapped. Because I know in the state of Florida, Governor Rick DeSantis, he banned DJI and Chinese drones from being used by state agencies. Okay. So they have to go elsewhere to get, first responders and so forth, have to go elsewhere to find, drones that will be approved by the state of Florida, which is a real pain in the neck because there isn't a lot outside of Chinese drones, specifically DJI, Autel, that kind of thing. All right.
Well, that's what the politicians hide behind, Bill. They hide behind, they want you to replace these with American drones, but yet they know, or they don't want to acknowledge the fact that there are very little replacement American drones in place. So I mean that's only a politician could ignore the fact. Again, they want you to replace Chinese drones with American drones, but they know there really are no American drones. I mean, again, that's a politician spin. We don't. Yeah, maybe there will be American drones 5-10 years down the road, but what about tomorrow? What about next month or whatever? We need the answers for the short term, not 5-10 years down the road.
And I was thinking of a proposed solution that if I ever got Senator Rick Scott on, that I would tell him, I would say, look, okay, it's going to take about 4 to 5 years for an American company to manufacture and build drones the quality like we would have from Chinese drones, specifically DJI. All right. Why not gradually phase out DJI drones from consumer and first responder use over a 5-year period to give, excuse me, one of these American startups a chance to catch up to DJI and produce the quality drones that DJI has. That's what would be something that I would propose to them. Phase it out. Don't do it immediately like this. Give everybody a chance here because, not only, first responder organizations, but there are a lot of people. They estimated, Ron, I think I saw an estimate of anywhere from 125 to 150,000 people have Part 107 certificates here in the United States. All right. And the vast majority of them, I think I saw 70 to 80% use it in some way, shape, or form commercially and make money from this. So your cost,
are they going to let everybody that's out of that makes money with the drones business? They're going to let us all collect unemployment?
Yeah,
because they get rid of they won't let us have our tools. I mean, that'd be like, okay, any job or whatever. If you're a construction guy, but you're not allowed to use hammers and drills that aren't made in America or something, it's crazy.
Well, and you also think about things like, I know, for example, in Australia, they had a gun buyback program. Okay. Because evidently, they have very strict anti-gun laws down in Australia. You know, are they going to have a drone buyback program? Are they going to buy our drones back from us? Give us pennies on the dollar? I mean, you know,
Right.
we've paid good money for
Right.
things like this. And, you know,
Yeah. I
the
mean, well, of course,
latest,
we assume that that's going to happen to the drones we already own. This is just future drones. A lot of people say if they're so concerned about our current drones being security leaks, why will they let us continue to fly these drones? If
exactly.
security is the real reason.
You know, and I think I may have mentioned this last week, but and I also sent this in a tweet to Senator Scott, and it's not up on the screen, but I sent to him, I said, why has no other country on the earth banned Chinese made drones, specifically DJI? You don't see any other country, Ron, that has banned DJI
Right.
drones. Why? If it's a security concern, wouldn't be our allies like UK and France and Australia and Canada, wouldn't they have banned it if it was a security concern? You
No,
know,
no
it's
other
just,
country's worried about the security but us.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and you know, and it also begs to differ too, because I saw some other responses to Senator Scott. You know, what about apps like TikTok? You know, my gosh, how invasive that is. And then let's take it a step further. What about an iPhone? Okay, because they're all made over in China. You know, and the data that people get and acquire on those, and they're not even saying a word about security concern regarding that. And I know I brought
Yes.
this up before too, but a lot of the very inexpensive handheld ham radios are made over in China as well too. You know, and you're talking about communications and being able to pick things up. I mean, you know, talking about security concerns, my goodness, what
Yeah.
a vast
Yeah.
array of things to be concerned about.
Right.
But yet,
And, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and like the customs thing or whatever, they stopped DJI products because of the Uyghurs and the forced labor. And can you name me one other product that the customs is stopping besides DJI drones? Are DJI drones the only item ever accused of being made by the Uyghurs and forced labor in China? It's the only one I've ever heard has been stopped.
yeah, yeah. And now, and I know, you know, some of people said, you know, the Osmo Action 5, you can't even get a camera now. And I'm like, what's going on
Yeah,
with this?
yeah. Oh, can't get a Pocket 3?
Or a Pocket 3? Yeah, yeah. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember hearing anybody have a story about their Pocket 3 was stopped at customs, but you can't even order them. They've been out of stock even before last week when everything went out of stock. Some of those items like the Pocket's been out of stock for quite a while now.
yeah. And, you know, Ron, I've got to think some people have made quite a bit of noise regarding all of this. And, you know, getting the message out there. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about this, but you know, it's really kind of, I think it's frustrating on my part, and I think you know, and I'll share for the audience and probably you as well, to see that none of these congressmen or senators or people in government will have really reacted to it. Now, the only one who has, you know, and this is not political, okay, you know, President Trump has said basically, and Marcus talked about that in a video that he did a few weeks ago, that he was the one who wants to initiate this security check. All right. He wants to get the ball rolling with this. All right. Which is a good thing, should be welcome. Okay. And the results should be published to everybody, you know, because if there's a security concern, we need to know about it. And there isn't. They're not going to find anything with this. You know, you know, I'm glad that he initiated this, but you know, it's still, they're dragging their heels, Ron, and all they got to do is keep dragging their heels through December, and then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know,
And this whole issue with, again, drones is such a small thing that I understand why it's not the focus of the president. I mean, the president has so much to worry about. I'm sure the drone issue, us flying consumer drones isn't the top of the list. I understand why it isn't. I don't understand why it's a priority list for these senators. If you're a senator like Rick Scott, how can this be at the top of your priority list of all the stuff you have to worry about?
Yeah, there is so much going on right now. About them. Excuse me, using bunker busters against Iran to knock out nuclear production facilities. The fighting between Israel and Iran, and all this stuff that's going on right now, and they're paying attention to this. I don't
That's
get
their
it,
main
Ron.
focus. They're not writing a bill about I don't know, real concerns that health, U.S. whatever, healthcare, crime, legal immigration, so many big topics, but somehow these senators take time out from all those issues that matter to real people and move drones to the top of the list. I don't understand it.
I don't
How
either,
many
Ron.
does Rick Scott have a stack of letters on his desk? What in DJI drones
Yeah,
banned? I don't think so.
yeah. One thing that I do know after having done some research, as far as contacting congressmen and senators are concerned, not only do they, the staff are the ones that really look at the replies and respond back and everything. But one thing that they do make mention of to the representative or the senator is the number of responses they're getting on a daily basis, whether both positive and negative, because if they're getting a lot, that means that senator or congressman is going to pay attention to what's going on. Okay. So, one of the things I can say, it's not going to hurt. Call your congressman, call your United States senator's office up, and if you live in a major city, you can find the United States senator's office there. Don't call the one in Washington, D.C., because you're more than likely you'll get a voicemail, and don't leave a voicemail. They'll never get it. They'll never get it. But I've called my congressman.
Yeah.
I've
Can
talked
you imagine
to somebody
saying, "Hey, Rick Scott"? Yeah, can you imagine the assistant saying, you got a voicemail from Bill the drone reviewer on here"?
Yeah,
They're never going to say that. You're right, Bill.
exactly. Okay. So don't leave a voicemail.
Yeah, Johnny did talk to the guys that wrote that bill in Louisiana, and they kept asking Johnny, "Aren't you concerned with the drones surveying the coastline and stuff for the invasion and so on?" I mean, and think about Johnny's story about last night. In Louisiana, the government signed that bill where law enforcement could take what they call marauding drones out of the air. But back to your point earlier, what if the Amazon drones flying around, or DoorDash drones flying around, and the police officer just thinks, "Oh, that's a marauding drone. Let me take that drone down. It's got your package and everything in it."
Yeah, I mean, that is borderline unconstitutional, and just, the FAA has rules against shooting drones down. I mean, in the Louisiana, the government of Louisiana is going to circumvent the FAA. I mean, wow, good luck with that, because as Ron, shooting down a drone is a federal offense, which is punishable by serving time in prison. Okay, there's no slap on the wrist. You shoot a drone down, you're going to serve jail time for that. Okay, it's a federal offense. It's not a state or a local offense. It's a federal offense, and you'll go to federal prison, not a state or a local prison. Okay, so what they're trying to do down there, it's I hate to use the term Dukes of Hazzard, but they're trying to Dukes of Hazzard this. Okay, and take justice into their own hands, and it's not going to work. Okay.
Well, we got senators like Mike Lee. We got senators like Mike Lee that are trying to get the first 200 feet back to states. So if Mike Lee has his way, places like Louisiana will have the first 200 feet.
Yeah.
Johnny's saying it's take effect in August.
Well, the other thing with this too, let's say, there's a drone up there and they go to shoot it down, and let's say they may accidentally hit a private plane when they're doing this. Okay.
Right.
I mean, it opens up such a can of worms, Ron. It's not funny. It's just not funny at all.
And they didn't say they shoot down. They said they could use kinetic methods. They have those things that take drones down electronically. The other ways to take the drones down.
Question of the day. What did you think of DJI status in the USA July 1st, 2025? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.